It wasn't just a loss. It was a public unraveling, a meltdown on national television, and Bill Simmons, a lifelong Celtics devotee, didn't hold back. On the heels of two soul-crushing defeats at home to the New York Knicks, Simmons delivered what may be his most blistering take in years. And this time, he wasn't just angry, he was disturbed. "I don't know how to explain this," he vented on his podcast, visibly shaken. A team supposedly engineered to dominate offensively, to steamroll opponents, just completely imploded. Twice. At home, in the playoffs. Against that Knicks team, Simmons' words didn't just sting. They exposed something deeper, a sense that the Celtics are suffering from a cultural rot at the worst possible moment. A team so loaded with talent, so obsessed with process, that it forgot how to fight. "There's been an arrogance to this team," Simmons admitted, almost reluctantly, "and it shows up when it matters most, when they absolutely cannot afford it." That's not just criticism, that's an indictment. Simmons wasn't talking about a few missed shots or cold shooting nights. He was pointing at something systemic, a refusal to adjust, a sense of entitlement, an elite team believing their talent alone would carry them, even when the game demanded adaptation, urgency, and grit. The numbers back it up. Over 2 games, Boston has hoisted and missed 75 three-pointers. 75. Not as part of a strategic breakdown, but as a symptom of a team convinced it could shoot its way out of adversity. Spoiler, it didn't. But the most damning moments weren't statistical, they were emotional. In Game 2's final minutes, with the crowd restless and the Knicks clawing for control, there was no spark, no leader dragging the team forward. Only hesitation, only silence. Jason Tatum's 5 of 19 shooting night wasn't just inefficient, it was symbolic. He was ghost-like in the offense, present on the court, absent in spirit. Even his rebounds and assists felt detached, like numbers collected in a vacuum. Simmons' father, appearing on the podcast, summed it up with eerie clarity. He never took charge, he was just dribbling in circles on the perimeter. It wasn't much better with Jaylen Brown, despite hitting the 20-point mark in both games. His efficiency was dismal. Shooting below 35%, Brown seemed locked in a solo battle with the rim, forcing contested shots and failing to impact the game when the Celtics desperately needed clarity. And yet, the frustration runs deeper than stats. It's about how the Celtics are losing. They blew a 20-point lead in Game 1. Then, in Game 2, they coughed up another double-digit advantage, as if the first collapse taught them nothing. It's no longer about bad luck. It's about bad habits. Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, names that weren't supposed to be headlining this series have suddenly become playoff legends in the making, with key rebounds, hustle plays, and stone-cold defense in clutch moments. The Knicks displayed everything the Celtics lacked: urgency, cohesion, and hunger. While Boston froze, New York hunted. While Boston launched reckless threes, the Knicks moved with purpose. There's a cruelty to basketball when the underdog plays with more confidence than the favorite. And right now, Boston looks like a team terrified of the moment. What makes this spiral truly alarming isn't just that Boston is down 0-2, it's how little fight they showed after the first punch. And now, heading into hostile territory at Madison Square Garden, they face a brutal reality. Lose Game 3, and the series is all but over. But here's the uncomfortable question Celtics fans don't want to ask. Has this team been coddled for too long? Have the regular season blowouts and win percentages masked deeper flaws in leadership, identity, and accountability? What Simmons is really exposing isn't just tactical failure, it's psychological fragility. This is a team that, when rattled, doesn't respond with fury. It responds with detachment, with stubbornness, with arrogance. 2 games into the series, and it's not just a slump anymore. It's an exposure. And what's being laid bare isn't just a flawed offense. It's a complete collapse of identity. Let's not sugarcoat this. The Celtics' half-court offense is broken, fractured, uninspired, and worst of all, predictable. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were supposed to be Boston's twin engines, the unstoppable force that pulled this team through adversity. But what happens when both engines stall at once? Tatum, averaging just 18 points per game, is putting up a horrific 0.78 points per shot attempt. That's abysmal for a first option. Brown isn't faring much better, clocking in at 0.89 points per shot. Inefficient and inconsistent with more turnovers than assists. These aren't just bad games. These are system failures. And it's not just about missed shots. It's about what these performances reveal. Poor decision-making, tunnel vision, and a disturbing inability to recognize when the game demands something different. The Celtics' offense, once a model of spacing and intelligent movement, has disintegrated into stagnant ISOs and late clock prayers. Why? Because teams like the Knicks have figured it out. New York isn't just defending, they're dissecting. They've baited Boston stars into the very traps they use to exploit. With ease, they've stopped switching as frequently and started allowing what seem like favorable mismatches, knowing Boston will take the bait and fail. On paper, Tatum versus Mitchell Robinson looks like a mismatch, but when Tatum drives into a crowded lane with Bridges, Hart, and Anunoby waiting, it's not advantage Celtics. It's a carefully laid ambush, and the Celtics fall for it every single time. Brown, meanwhile, continues to drive blindly into walls, ignoring open shooters, misreading the floor, barreling into help defenders like a man possessed. Where's the vision? Where's the poise? Where's the leadership? It would be easy to pin this all on the players, but where is the coaching intervention? The floor mapping is a mess. Off-ball movement has vanished. The corner spacing that once punished defenses? Gone. You'd think Boston never practiced rotations or closeouts, and in critical moments, like the final seconds of Game 2, what did we see? Not a calculated final play, not a smart timeout to reset, just Tatum driving into a trap that every person in Madison Square Garden could see forming. That's not a superstar moment. That's a meltdown. Let's be clear, bad spacing isn't just a schematic issue. It reflects a lack of trust, of awareness, of adaptability. You can't attack a mismatch if your teammates are clogging the paint. You can't isolate if there's no outlet. And you definitely can't win playoff games relying on contested jumpers and isolation-heavy sets against one of the most disciplined defenses in the league. The Celtics' offensive rating in the half-court has cratered, and their points per drive has dropped significantly compared to their regular season average. That's not just regression. That's a red flag flapping in the playoff wind. Here's the kicker. 16 combined turnovers from Tatum and Brown over 2 games. That's unacceptable, and yet it keeps happening. Why? Because this team has become addicted to mismatch hunting, and they're not even good at it anymore. The Knicks are inviting the Celtics to chase mismatches, and Boston, too proud to adjust, walks right into the trap every time. This isn't about lack of talent, it's about arrogance. Here's a take nobody wants to entertain, but maybe it's time. Is it possible that Boston lacks a true offensive leader? Someone who knows when to slow the tempo, call the right set, or demand a better look? Because right now, it seems like the team is caught between 2 stars who don't fully complement each other, and a coaching staff that won't confront that reality. Tatum drifts on the perimeter, dribbling out the clock. Brown forces, contested, drives. And the rest of the team stands still, unsure of where to go or what to do. The Knicks? They're energized, decisive, confident. The Celtics? They look confused. Is Kristaps Porzingis becoming a liability at the worst possible time? The Boston Celtics are staring into a void that they didn't expect to confront this early. Down 0-2 to a Knicks team that smells blood, the urgency is suffocating. But the most troubling storyline isn't just the blown double-digit leads or the crunch time collapses. It's the Kristaps Porzingis dilemma. And make no mistake, it is a dilemma, one that could derail the Celtics' championship aspirations faster than anyone wants to admit. Because here's the truth, no one seems willing to say out loud. Right now, Porzingis is a ghost, a 7'3" enigma caught somewhere between the role of savior and spectator. He's ill, limited, and Boston has no clue what version of him they'll get from one night to the next. Can a title-contending team afford to keep hoping for the best while he gives them a shell of his regular season self? Let's call it what it is. This isn't just about not feeling his best. This is a structural fault line in Boston's playoff foundation. Last year, the Celtics managed to glide through the Eastern Conference with Porzingis mostly sidelined. But this year, The East is a battlefield, not a red carpet, and Boston's margin for error is razor thin. Porzingis isn't just a luxury anymore. He's essential, and if he can't be that player, if he's dragging his feet through illness and trying to fake his way to production, then the Celtics are gambling their entire playoff fate on a coin flip. Joe Mazzulla's comments sound sympathetic. Of course they do. He sees a warrior trying to fight through adversity, but sympathy doesn't win playoff series. Mazzulla says it's not concerning as much as understanding what he's trying to do. That's a dangerous kind of denial. What happens if this version of KP, lethargic, inconsistent, physically unstable, is all they get from here on out? Is the coaching staff willing to shift the system around that limitation, or are they just hoping he magically rebounds? While the season slips away, Porzingis, at full strength, transforms the Celtics. He stretches defenses with 30-foot range, punishes mismatches in the post, and erases mistakes with rim protection. But here's the catch. We haven't seen that Porzingis in this series. What we've seen is a guy who looks winded after a few possessions, who can't impose his will, and who's struggling to even stay on the court for meaningful stretches. In Game 2, he was a non-factor when it mattered, and Boston had to once again lean on a 38-year-old Al Horford, who is giving everything he has. But how much longer can they expect that to hold? Let's talk about Horford. He played the entire fourth quarter in Game 2. That's admirable, but it's also revealing. Horford wasn't supposed to be carrying this kind of load. Not at this stage in his career. Not with Porzingis supposedly in the picture. And though he's still a stabilizing force, asking him to anchor this front court night after night is like trying to patch a leaky roof during a storm. Eventually, the flood gets in. Yes, Luke Kornet has stepped up. His Game 2 performance was encouraging. 6 points, 8 rebounds, solid defensive rotations. But Kornet is a role player. He can't be your insurance policy for a max contract unicorn. That's not a knock on Kornet. It's just reality. Playoff basketball isn't about depth. It's about stars. And Boston's third star is flickering at the worst possible moment. What makes this even messier is that no one seems to know what Porzingis is capable of. The team, the coach, even KP himself are speaking in vague terms. Day-to-day, monitoring, doing what he can. That's not a plan. That's a shrug. That's the kind of uncertainty that paralyzes a rotation, forces mismatched lineups, and kills offensive flow.